In case you haven't noticed, recently a lot of the big parks are not building big new roller coasters that go upside down multiple times, have huge drops, and break records. Instead, they're building new family coasters, which may disappoint enthusiasts, but I'm gonna argue why this is good for the coaster industry and for coaster fans, coming up. First, welcome to 808 Coaster Life. If you're new to this channel and you love roller coasters and other theme park related stuff, please consider subscribing. I do understand where the complaints about less thrill rides are coming from. I mean, I'm a coaster enthusiast too. I like thrill rides, especially because a lot of the chain parks that would be building new thrill coasters are building family coasters all of a sudden. So I understand the cause of concern, but we need to remember the context. Theme parks are still recovering from COVID, and with rising material costs, parks have less purchasing power for coasters compared to before COVID. And we also got to think about market share, because Disney and Universal, despite only having a few parks in the US, they have most of the market share and they get a lot more attendance compared to regional parks. You see, the regional parks used to compete with Disney by building the thrill coasters that Disney would never build. And while that did work to a degree, they still didn't get enough market share. So they're trying to compete with Disney at their own game by building really good, high quality family coasters. But I think coaster fans should not worry about this, and here's why. Reason number one is that current family coasters are getting dated. A lot of well-known and established amusement parks have family coasters built before the 21st century, which means that they may not be the most comfortable or enjoyable to ride. One may argue family coasters from that time age better than equivalent thrill coasters, and I can mostly agree there. Putting less forces on people also mean you're putting less stress on the track, which will make it last longer. But keep in mind, the target customer for these rides, the entire family, may prioritize rider comfort a little more than you might think. There are definitely exceptions to that, of course, but there are also many family coasters that aren't the best. Because of improvements in coaster technology, family coasters have become very smooth and enjoyable. There's also more variety too. Before, you really had a choice of either a wild mouse, a mine train, or maybe the occasional spinner or suspended coaster. But now you can find family equivalents to many thrill coasters. For example, you could get a family invert, a family wing coaster, a family launch coaster, a family boomerang, a motorbike or straddle coaster. There are even free spins that don't go upside down. There's also the free fly. Well, that never really took off. But the point being, just because it's a family coaster doesn't mean it has to be generic. But parks keep on building thrill coasters, they may be missing out on all of the new innovations and family coaster technology that could be making bank for them. Reason number two is that they're more economical. As you would expect, family coasters are cheaper to build than thrill coasters. They're smaller rides, so that means less material costs. Of course, we're gonna ignore Universal and Disney for this. But because you spent less money on the coaster, you now have more money to spend on theming and scenery and making the ride look better and more enjoyable. I would imagine also cheaper running costs. There's less stress on the track and trains, meaning less maintenance is required on them. But what parks found in recent years is that families are what actually brings in most of the profit. Families, of course, have more purchasing power compared to teenagers, and thus they will spend more on things. Families also tend to have more park loyalty, more on that later. But you can kind of see the big picture here. It's a win-win for park profit. It's cheaper to build, and it brings in more profit, potentially. Reason number three is that they fill in lower height requirements. A lot of parks have, most of their roller coasters have a 48-inch height requirement. So if you live in that area and you're a kid, you're kind of out of luck unless you reach 48 inches. In that case, that's probably an exciting next visit. But if you want to attract families, you gotta make sure the shorter kids are able to ride. You also want to make the ride so small that adults either aren't allowed to ride at all, or unless they have a kid with them. Because of advances in technology and just better design in general, new family coasters are able to have lower height requirements than before. Think about it this way. If you're a coaster enthusiast, you may have been denied going to a park with your family because there aren't enough rides there for the entire family to do. So adding new family coasters means you're more likely able to convince your family to take you to that amusement park. You can thank me later. Reason number four is that they create park loyalty. Families are probably not going to want to revisit that park that only has thrill coasters too intense for them, or family coasters that became rough. But people who don't like coasters will remember fondly the good family coaster they enjoyed. That's part of why Disney does so well with guest loyalty, because their family coasters are really good. This incentivizes people to stay local instead of traveling so far to visit that Disney or Universal park, which means they're more likely to buy season passes, and parks love when locals buy season passes. Basically, if parks have good guest loyalty, they're able to have a good source of consistent revenue. Reason number five is that they will induce demand for higher thrill coasters. Let's say these new family coasters are able to build up people's confidence in riding coasters. They'll probably be wondering what's next. Because their increased confidence, they're now able able to take on more thrilling coasters. And because of the theoretical increase in profit because of these family coasters, parks now have more money to build those thrill coasters. These coasters may even create new coaster enthusiasts, which of course we will demand new thrill coasters. So the parks gotta deliver somehow. For example, the Universal Orlando Resort has a good mix of thrill rides and family rides. So that's why when they built Velocicoaster, that became a huge success. We need to keep in mind that thrill coasters of course are still being built. There's been at least 5 major coasters built in the US and Europe each year. And of course China is building many thrill coasters. I'm hoping we still have a few thrill coasters built each year, but remember this, a lot of coaster enthusiasts were not made from intense RMCs or giant B&M hypers. Good family coasters are what built their confidence that allows them to ride those intense RMCs or giant B&M hypers. But maybe with this new trend, we'll get more coasters introducing people to going upside down. Here's my review of my first ever upside down roller coaster. Here's some other videos you should watch, and if you like this one, consider leaving a like and maybe even subscribe. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.